Morning, everyone. It's nice to see you all. It's nice to have those of you who can come in. We invite you to come back to the center if you're in New York now. It's always great to have you with us. Plus, we have a lot of things going on. We can also use some of you to volunteer with our Sunday activities. So welcome, wherever you're finding us. No matter if it's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, I'm aware that our numbers are growing on Facebook and starting to grow on Instagram and YouTube. Upwards, I don't know how many hundreds of people are watching us each week now, but it's very remarkable, and that's one good thing that's come out of all the changes that have happened this past year or so. Today I want to talk about I want to do a cover and go over a talk that was done by Raymond Charles Barker some probably 50 years ago. We've retitled it Going from Good to Great, but if you wanted to listen to Raymond Charles Barker himself, in our archives, I believe he spoke the first time he did this talk under the title, Stop Resisting Your Good. And it's a long talk, and I've spent a few days with it, and to see if I can make it a little bit more brief. It's very good. A lot of the references and things that he spoke of in the talk wouldn't be anything anybody would know of today, but it was jam-packed full of things that will be helpful for us to become aware of, so we actually, in fact, stop resisting the good that we have. Let us begin today with the idea that we are immersed in an infinite mind and an infinite spirit and an infinite creativeness, and that it is in action right now. We're going to lay aside the cares of the week and bring our attention to the now. It's interesting. It says in the big book, the good book, now is the appointed time. I accept the now, and I accept that it is created, everything is created in the now, and this is my moment to create. This is a life which is mine. It is yours, and we are creating it moment by moment. All right, be still and know that this is so, and that we are the act of an unlimited and unconditioned creative mind and spirit that's in action in our consciousness right now. Our consciousness is full of right ideas, right motivation. We're inspired by it. All the negatives are eliminated, and we're free. Perfect action of life itself is happening right now, beautifully. It is all ours. It's all right, and so it is. The old church used to go to the program and welcome one another and sing a song. And the lyrics were, we build a new tomorrow, we draw the pattern clear, we make our plan with wisdom, for mind is ever here. Our thinking makes our future, our actions pave the way. We build a new tomorrow on patterns formed today. For our broadcast audience today, I'm going to read the second verse. We clear the heart of hatred. We clear the mind of fear. We speak no word of censor, and all we see or hear, and in all we see or hear. With love to guard and guide us, with mind to light the way, we build a new tomorrow on the site we clear today. All right, so today we're going to be talking about rejecting our good. We reject our good all over the place, in case you don't know it, because a lot of what we do is unconscious. Life is primarily unconscious, Barker said to his audience. Most of what we do is unconscious. It plays out all over the place. And you don't like it. I don't like it sometimes when it's working that way. You don't realize it, but you rarely are using your conscious mind. And you're making all kinds of decisions, and they're by rote, they're by habit. You decided to come here today or to turn on and get onto the broadcast and join in. But that's minor, Dr. Barker thought. He says, you're actually turning on the broadcast or coming here was somewhat unconscious. It's habitual. And here I am and here you are. Many of us are here as a result of an unconscious act. Some of you just been doing it for years. And some of you know, for some of you it's new. And we want to welcome all of you who are new, but we want you all to be awake. Today I'm going to say that I think most of us don't expect enough good out of life. We've played small throughout our life in too many ways. I think the world and all we've been through has dulled our expectations. Dr. Barker thought we have dull expectations. We don't expect much from life. We never thought we deserved much. That would be the whole work of Louise that came years later. Dull expectations and a lack of belief that we deserve, our place to shine. And we get into routines, our individual routines, daily routines, and we don't think. And Barker said routines are deadly. Again, we get into our routines, and routines can be deadly. They take you over. They run you. Your routines are running you. You go through a day, you go through a week, sometimes you go through a month or years, and you're really not very conscious through your life. And you're just walking through your days and not necessarily mindfully or joyfully. And he gave us an example. He said, now, you may be one of those people that have orange juice, 1 egg, and 1 slice of toast for breakfast every day. You never think to change it. So that glass of orange juice, that egg, and that slice of toast, and he says, there's nothing wrong with it, be it the orange juice, the toast, or whatever it is, but once in a while, have a touch of originality. He said, try something new. He said, you and I do not expect to do new things. We don't think about new things. He says, unless we're in some kind of trouble, then we start thinking. There's a lot of people watching Jimmy's showing me today, and I'm very happy about that, or I've just got flashed from the camera crew. All over the country and different countries. We're here connecting with one another, and we're reminding ourselves of how great life is and can be. And we're going to think about our expectations a little bit today. Expectancy is one of the most important factors that we talk about in consciousness. And the thing about expectancy is it goes both ways. Expecting the good or expecting the opposite. It's powerful. What are you expecting? Are you waiting for the shoe to drop? Because it'll drop. Are you keeping on thinking this is going to happen to me or that's going to happen? Are you invoking Chicken Little? The sky is falling? Because if you are, I don't want to hang out with you because it's not going to be fun. So expectancy is really important. It's a key point in the way we function and the way I function. Developing an unshakable positive expectancy is what we learn to do here. The more you attend, the more you plug in, the more you connect with our classes, and the more you are awake. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I see people, they come in, and they come in a little bit, they like what we teach, and then they realize, oh my God, they're teaching self-responsibility here, and I don't like that. I want somebody to save me. I want somebody to fix me. So it's too much for some people. And you see them disappear only to come back 6 months or sometimes it's 5 or 6 years later. We need to develop an unshakable positive expectancy. And the more you connect, the more you plug in, be it Sunday, Thursday, or Tuesday, or any of the things we do, the more you volunteer, the more you're around the teaching, you'll see how powerful you can become, but it's not going to happen from tuning in once or twice or here and there in an unconscious way. So here we are in this wonderful day, and it is a wonderful day because I said so, said Barker, and I will mimic him throughout this talk. It is because I say it is so, and you have the ability to have the same kind of attitude, to put a demand on consciousness and to know life is good. Later this day, take a minute and say, all right, what do I expect for the coming week? What am I expecting for the coming week? See, some of you are not expecting anything. You're not even thinking about it. And if anything comes up when you ask yourself that question, if anything is like, oh my God, I got to do this, and oh my God, I got to do that, or oh my God, I got to do this, stop yourself right there. You might be concerned about the job or not having a job. You might be all caught up about your girlfriend or your boyfriend, your husband or wife. You might be all caught up in worry and doubt about anything and everything. Can you raise your sight a little? Can you step out of that downward spin that you're doing to yourself? Why can't you be expecting unexpected good? Unexpected good happens to me every day. Every day of my life. Unexpected good happens to me every day of my life if I let it. How do we stop the unexpected good? By accepting everything the world believes, by accepting everything that's on network news. Do you think that's going to help you have good? I can promise you, the news is not the answer. We systematically traumatize ourselves with negativity. It's like we go back for more and more and more. And I don't know why that is. I do it myself sometimes. We have these routines. Again, what did he say about routines? Routines are deadly. Barker maintains that this unconscious walking through your life with your routines is what stops the expansion of good, because our attention is not on the good. Our attention is wandering all over the place. And you have such tremendous power at your disposal that's being wasted. A biblical passage that's appropriate for today's talk is, look unto me. Look unto me. Because when we change what we are looking toward, which I would suggest God within and the presence around, when you look into what the truth is, that you're one with the great life, and that it's here and now, and it's responding to you. Look unto it. Look unto me. The universal spirit, look there and court an awareness of this presence. Beside it, there is nothing else. God is all that there is. But everybody completely forgets that, most people. If you're developing positive expectancy is all about looking forward and not down, and not about what isn't happening. If you're always talking about what used to happen, be it in your church or what used to happen in your life or what used to be, we always did it this way, we always did it that way, what you're doing is you're bringing your mind into the past, and you're not in a new moment about what's possible. Or you'll say, if I tried my best, all my life, I've done this, I've done that, and my family's always done it this way, my family's done it that way. Talking that way is a wonderful way to stay stuck. It's a wonderful way to prevent the new from blossoming, the good from coming forth. When you say this, my family always did it this way, when we're on a tangent like that, we are in trouble. What can I do, you might ask? If you're an adult, you no longer have to operate under the family system. You no longer have to operate under the family agreements and rules. You have your own free will. That's a news flash to everybody. You are the decider in your own life. Now, I'm well aware that many of you don't do that. I'm well aware that many of you defer to your husbands, your mothers, your fathers, to what, oh my God, what would they think if I just went another place and I did another thing? What would it be like if I actually thought with my own mind? We encourage you in every single class to exchange the lesser ideas for the greater ones. Dr. Barker once said, I wish that every person at the age of 21 could legally change their name to cut off their family pattern. Now, you've heard me talk in recent years about the 4 agreements, because we have all these agreements that have been within us since we're little kids about what's right, wrong, who's right, wrong, all that stuff is garbage. It's just stuff. It's part of our belief system. Shirley would say our blind spots, and it prevents us from being in the here and now. So Barker said, I wish they all, at the age 21, could legally change their name to cut off their particular family pattern. Because every once in a while, he said, I even noticed coming back and saying some version, oh, my parents did it this way or that way. And this isn't, he said, a good enough reason to continue doing it just because it was done by your parents 40 years ago. He said, again, people keep rejecting their good. They are not in a new moment. They're referring to the past. Why? He said, because we're not aware of how good it can be. We're not willing to take the chance to step out there. Many people are scared to death of change, and they reject everything quickly. They reject what's new, and they don't even know why they're rejecting it. And things that could be so wonderful, they reject it out of hand. We just say no. We learn here how to live the affirmative life. We intend to be more open to life and more open to change, and we want to get involved, and we want to do some service, and we want to be a part of a bigger idea that this church, this center represents. We might say, I'm healthy, and I intend to have more health. I'm free in my money, I'm free in my finances, and I intend to continue to be free and abundantly supplied. I love lots of people, you might say, and I'm loved, and I intend to love and be more loved. And I am free, and I'm free to do what I want at the time I want and the way I want. And we are, for the most part. Those of us who are really involved in this teaching, we have a lot of freedom that most of the world does not possess. And as we practice this teaching, we make it clear in our minds. We make it clear to our mind what it is that we want. There's no hesitation. I don't ask or say, can I or should I? The world at large will condemn you for being an original thinker. They're afraid of you. They want you to conform. They don't want you to express your opinion or your thought. You know, I love Emerson. I talk about Emerson, do classes in Emerson, because he said, God help us when a thinker is let loose upon the planet or the countryside. Nothing is safe. No one is safe, because this person doesn't need anybody else to think for them. And I'm inviting you to start thinking for yourself. You know, you can think of, you've all seen the analogy of the crabs in the barrel, and you're trying to get out of the barrel. Everybody's climbing on top of you because they're trying to prevent you going forward. You need to go forward. You're not looking to them for your approval. Mass thinking. I remember Albert Camus years ago. Bill Tolliver used to say, the masses are, I won't say the word he used. But he didn't, mass thinking and group think, that's not you. You're an original thinker. Mass thinking might have you think it isn't right to be talking about being very healthy and being prosperous and abundant, proclaiming how prosperous you are. Mass thinking doesn't want you to talk that way. They don't want you to talk about your rich abundance and the greatness that you are. They don't want you to proclaim that you are loving and lovable. Our founder, Dr. Barker, went on and on about that. He says, society has many traps for you and many standards. They want women to look a certain way. I was looking up last night what women's sizes are supposed to be, and there's like only probably 10% of women in America who are that size. Or what men are supposed to look like, and what Madison Avenue has said. We buy into all those images down in Times Square to some degree or another, and we reject ourselves. We have overemphasized the importance of youthful looks. Not everyone can wear these perfect sizes, whatever they are. And not everyone remains 21 or 18 or 25. We really want to get to the point where we have a great degree of self-acceptance. We want to have a lot of self-approval. And we got to stop or find the way to stop all the self-negation. I don't like myself. I don't love myself. I'm guilty. You got to fast forward then from Barker to Louise Hay, because she devoted her career working with those subjects. The world will try to put anyone into a box and label you in one way or another. There's a beautiful poem about two women. Well, they're trying to describe this person. He's a carpenter, he's a flutist, he's this, he's that. And, and it's a discussion because it's a persistent need that people have to try to label people. Don't label yourself. Don't let anybody else do. Or if they do, you don't have to know or care about it. Nothing anybody else can do will represent the truth of you. You are a unique being in all the world. Each of you are beyond description. I don't have the ability to describe Jimmy, for example, or Reverend Judith, who's here. They're individualizations of life itself, of God itself. There's nothing that I could say that could adequately describe any of them, and I wouldn't want to label them anyway. Each of you are the same in that respect, individualizations of God life itself. Each of you in your own right, whole, complete, and I might add, amazing. Louise came along some 20, 30 years after Dr. Barker, and she spoke to this issue, teaching people, millions of people I might add, to affirm and say to themselves, I love, accept, and approve of you exactly as you are. And look into the mirror if you want to. Powerfully begin to acknowledge yourself and love yourself. She would suggest that you say this to yourself many, many times a day, because that inner dialogue that I talk about every Thursday night in our wonderful class, our inner dialogue is the thing to pay attention to. That's the thing that needs to be lifted up. We need to stop listening to what the world has been telling us about ourselves. We need to stop repeating the family patterns and what the family has always said and the things that you've said. We're here to learn to love ourselves and love others and express life in ways that we've never done before. And that's with positive expectancy. So we can go from being where we are to good and then to great. There's a Barker story involving a woman in his congregation who was actively practicing the teaching. She came in to see him on a Sunday morning. She had been out of work for a year or two, but she'd been practicing the teaching. She'd been tuning in to the broadcast. She's been showing up. And she'd been through a challenging time, but she never gave up because in consciousness, she was always rich. And she was doing her affirmative prayer work. She shared that she had gotten a great job and she liked it a lot. And she had been there for 3 weeks and they gave her a big raise. And that's a time where nobody was giving anybody raises and jobs seemed to be tough to come by. Barker added, we all dwell in these times, in these consciousness. Here we are in the 2020s and everybody's been out of work and the government's been funding everything and everything's upside down and there's inflation happening. There's a lot going on, right? And we can be programmed to think just about anything if we keep tuning into the news shows. You'll find yourself, if you do that, entertaining a lot of fearful information. It's always going to be an economic crisis or an economic downturn or worse. You can take all of this in and be afraid to make a move, be afraid to move forward with your job or your career. And you may think you'll never move forward. You may think you'll never be recognized. You may think nothing's ever going to happen. You cannot expect, Barker said, to move forward. You cannot unless you really expect to. You got to expect to move forward. And you can't expect a raise or you can't expect a better job if you never ask for one. If you don't do the things you need to do to be of greater value, if you don't have positive expectancy in any of these areas, you are sabotaging your own good. You're sabotaging your own progress. We want to develop positive expectancy in all areas of our life. We practice seeing the God, the good. You hear me say that every week. Lift your heads up out of the stories that you're maintaining. Aim high, aim high, aim high. Remember the wisdom of Isaiah. Look unto me. To the ends of the earth, look unto me. Look towards the realization that this presence, this power is here and now, and it's in you and operating through you. For the Lord, the animating life energy itself, the force is within you and around you and is responding to you. So You want to take off with your life, no matter if you're 40, 50, 60, 20, whatever. You want to take off, blast off. You want it to evolve, I'm sure, right? I'm sure. And I'm asking that of those of you in the extended audience, the hundreds of people that will listen through the week. You want to have your life really, really take off and live mindfully, intelligently. You want to be awake, right? And you can. It's possible if you really want to. If you really get involved with our teaching rather than superficially just like half listen. Ernest Holmes said you can use this power. You have executive power. You have what it takes. You really have it within you. You have consciousness and you have the ability to direct it. Now, if you don't take the reins and direct it, well, then you're going to get whatever the world gives you, which isn't much. The poor will always be among us, Barker said. If you listen to this broadcast today, and if you take in this message, he said, you don't have to be poor. There's nothing poor about you. No one thinks inside of your head except you. And you have power. And yes, you're absolutely free to worry, and you're free to complain. But why would you want to when you have access to everything? You can go along with the times and live in complaint about everything and have a sense of injustice about everything. And since misery loves company, you'll find people that will agree with you all over the place. You can live in scarcity, and you can live with that mentality, and you can live being at the effect of everybody. You can be at the effect of people, places, things, including the ever-rising prices, your landlord, and everything else. You can live at the effect of it all. You're free to be a part of everything negative that you want to. We here at First Center for Spiritual Living in New York are a dynamic, evolving community, developing a really great virtual community. I invite you to be a part of everything we do, as often as you can, for your sake. You need to be here far more. I mean, I have it for me. And, we're offering you something, the pearl of great price. We're giving you the keys to open it all up within you. We can't save you, Barker said, but our teaching can save you if you join in, if you practice it, if you stay connected, if you stay in connection with Source and you don't give in and you don't give up. Turning into our lessons once or twice a week will move you forward a great deal. If you can't listen today, you can listen on Facebook tonight. I used to have to spend $7.50 every week to get a cassette so I could listen to the lesson over and over again. And I promise you I did, because I needed to and I wanted to. We keep reminding you to stop the spin, the spin zone, where you ruminate over story after story after story. Stop the spin of negativity. Allow yourself to be in a new moment where there's no story of the past of what it used to be like. See, we never know in our broadcasts, in our Sunday sessions or Thursday, we never know when people who come here for the first time, if they're paying attention or if they've got the Zoom on and they're going to the bathroom, they're making tea. We never know what they're doing, right? Whether they're shutting down, especially with the Zoom or the virtual world, as you know. People might be planning their week while they're listening or multitasking while we are attempting to give them a valuable and possibly life-changing message. I recall Dr. Barker's story when he was a child. He asked his mom when he was at church, "What do you do, Mom, every week when the minister is giving the lesson?" And Dr. Barker's mother said, "Well, I'm planning the meals for the week." And he laughed about it, recalling it all those years later. He said, "I have a radio audience all the time." And he says, "We have a large audience." Most good teachers in the ministry have learned not to take any of this stuff personally. In other words, whether people pay attention or they don't. I know for myself, I got to every class I could get to. I volunteered wherever I could. I helped the teachers teach the classes because I never wanted to miss anything. I remember also waiting to buy the cassettes, as I said, afterwards, because I would want to listen and take it in. I know these ministers spent many hours on these lessons, and I would get a superficial understanding the first pass, but I would want to listen to it 2 or 3 times so I could own that material myself, so it could live within me. I also witnessed other people come and go and come and go. So I do everything possible never to miss a lesson. You can get a lot from them. You can really listen to them freely on Facebook, as I said, and YouTube. You are worth the little bit of effort it takes to lift yourself up, to lift your consciousness up, and to become more free. And you'll do that if you pay attention and you listen to those lessons. Now, we're always training ourselves to look up and look forward. And as we do this, we're expanding our consciousness. We're going from good to great, and our consciousness is paving the way. Begin thinking more, meditating about what you have. Meditate about what you want and you vision, instead of what you don't have and what you don't want. Those are killers if you're focused on fearful ideas, what you don't want and all of that. Meditate upon what you have and what you want. Become very clear. Draw that pattern clear. And think of it as being totally possible. Really important. Think about these things that you want as being totally possible. And think that it's here, right now, and then it's done. And think about what you desire as being done now. This capacity to handle my own consciousness and not to sign it off or pass it off or to someone else for it to decide. This capacity, just don't offer your decisions to other people to decide for you. Pay attention. The newspaper, the radio, the politicians, the prevailing opinions of the day. You don't need to make your decisions based upon what they say. You get to decide yourself. Don't give in to all that stuff. Don't let other people decide for you. You might want to use those things to inform you and seek other opinions and all that to some extent, but you're the person who decides. Let yourself discern after you listen. We hope you learn to become the decider in your own life. Again, listen to all of it if you have to, if you want to, but discern for yourselves and decide. You get to think what you want. And you get to want what you think about and then believe that you have it. Remember also, Barker advised, ideas rule the world and ideas rule you. Even if they're negative, you are an idea person. Ideas are operating in your consciousness every instant that you are awake. And all these ideas are creative, negative and positive. You and I are idea people. We are consciousness with the capacity to expect the better, the greater, to go from good to great. Now, great spiritual minds down through the ages, through history, the mystics, they saw the underlying good. They knew it intuitively. They sensed it. No matter what was happening, they knew good was at hand. They weren't all about doom and gloom and ain't it awful and the sky is falling. The teacher Jesus started out teaching by saying, the kingdom of God is at hand, right here within us. I'm sure that he'd been told how desperate the country was, how terrible things were with the country being occupied by the Romans and all the rest. He merely said, the presence is here. Now, the kingdom is at hand now. That was the point. The presence and the potential of perfect action is always at hand. No matter how miserable or tough the moment, the potential of perfection is always there also. And if you go down into the valley again, it'll still be there. The potential of perfect action is there too. But now with the awareness that you're acquiring from staying tuned into this teaching and being a part of the center and practicing it, you're developing positive expectancy. You won't stay in the valley for too long. It's not fun being there. And as you continue to plug in, connect, and remind yourself, you're going to be learning to raise your sights higher and higher and expect to ascend. Learn how to do affirmative prayers. Begin using and repeating affirmations all over the place throughout your day. And things will begin to change for you. Stop saying things like, I'd like to, but. That word but cancels out everything that came before it. Stop using the word trying, whatever it is. And stop saying, I would do it if only the times, if only this would change, if only. Stop all that stuff. Or saying there's nothing I can do about it. You're either going to make a change and get better, or you're not going to do it. It's entirely up to you. If you review your life from the beginning until now, you find that there was never really a good time to do anything. Times have never been right. The average person, the average soul just goes along and goes along and goes along, waiting for the right time or waiting for people to do something for them or waiting for their life to improve. That's a huge mistake if you're doing it that way. They've been waiting a long time and they will continue to wait. Barker said jokingly, we usually bury those people. So here's the thing. You have power. You can use it. What thoughts? I ask the Virgin this question every Thursday. What thoughts are governing your consciousness? What's it like being you? If there's anything in your mind, is there anything in your mind that constitutes a lie, a false idea in consciousness? If so, it's time to rout those things out, neutralize them, and change them. We have learned things that are not true, and we repeat them, and we repeat them. We're stuck in the past. We loop around. We believed in things that we want to release now. All of us are sharing one mind, one consciousness, one eternal spirit, one life, one goodness, one fullness. And we can experience as much of it as we will accept. It is what Ernest Holmes described as the divine givingness. We can experience as much of it as we can expect to experience. Because the universe plays no favorites, has no favorites. Every individual as consciousness is equal and able to partake in the whole of life. But we need to grow in consciousness to partake in life, the life I'm describing. And that means we need to stay awake, we need to be aware, we need to be mindful, we need to be the guardians at the gate of our consciousness. And how do you do it? Think new ideas. Think new and creative ideas. Let me tell you one more Barker story for today. We had a teacher here in New York years ago. Some of you have heard of her, Florence Scovel Shinn. Most people remember her because of the book, The Game of Life. In the depths of the depression, people would come to her and weep, and they would wail and go on and on about how life was. And they wanted to know how they could manage their life, going through all the turmoil and trouble and whatever it was. And she would always say, Florence would say, get some new ideas. And they would, well, where do I get new ideas? And she had an odd thing. She said, I want you to go home and get out the dictionary and memorize 5 new words. I want you to find 5 new words you've never seen before, that you don't know anything about, and I want you to memorize them, and I want you to use them in some sentences, and I want you to call me in 2 days with these 5 words you've never heard before. That's the assignment. And they might ask her, some did, what does that have to do with the prosperity of the Lord? She said it has a great deal to do with it. So instead of figuring out how much debt you're in and how much your grocery bill is going up and how much the economy is changing and what's wrong, go home and find 5 new words. Yes, 5 words that are new. Write them down and memorize them. And call me in 2 days, and I want you to recite them to me so I know that you know them. Barker commented, we'll never know how many thousands of people Florence helped. Because after all now, we also have no way of knowing all the people that did not take her suggestion. We don't know all the people who simply refused to do this potentially life-changing assignment. That's why we have the wonderful phrase from the New Testament that indicates Jesus sorted out his audience between those that do and those that listen, the hearers. Those that do and those that hear only. So I'm sure a great many people thought her assignment, the dictionary assignment, was foolish, and they ignored her. But the ones that went home and used the dictionary, or today you'd Google the words, right? And understood 5 new words, the ones who made the effort, just like those of you who tune into the classes and make the effort and listen to the sermons over and again, the ones who memorized the new words, whether they realized it or not, they were expanding their consciousness. Those of you who tune in weekly, as many times as you can, are communing with great thoughts, and you're expanding your consciousness. So it wasn't ridiculous what Florence was doing, as it sounded. They were expanding their consciousness. Do you have to use a dictionary to do it? Barker said, no, you don't. But good grief, God, do something different. Stop having that one egg, that slice of toast, and that same orange juice. Try something different. Mix it up a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, do something new and different. Use some try some new ideas. So he was winding down. He says, we're all here today. I'm here and I'm fine. And you're here and I'm going to know that you're fine too. There's no reason at all that we can't all move forward together. If you don't do it, I don't have any control over what you do out there in the broadcast audience. I have no control if you keep rejecting your own good. He said, you're going to stay, some of you, nice, average people. Maybe some of you are going to remain dull. He says, most people are kind of dull. He said, which is kind of sad because you have the whole world, and you have everything at your disposal. Most of the masses live in reaction to, and they live their days in and out without being fully awake. He says, next time you're on a bus or you're taking the subway, look at all the faces around. He says, they're nice people, average, they look a little tired, and he used the word dull again. He says, they manage to get along, and the whole story of their life is written on their faces. Nice people, kind people. Occasionally you see a child full of life, but a lot of people are kind of dull. He says, and I was doing this a few weeks ago, and then he said, I wonder how I look to them when I'm on the subway. He says, I wonder if they look at me and they would say, oh, he's a nice person, whatever, dull. He says, that's not what I want. He says, I want to be seen as a person who has a lot going on, who has a mental activity, consciousness, that they can sense. I want to be full of aliveness. I'm thinking of Shirley Reed. Full of aliveness no matter what the heck is going on. I want them to feel that about me. He said, we all look good on Sunday. We dress up. He said, look at me. We all look good on social occasions. We look good when there's a need to. But in between, as you're living your life, how are you showing up? Do you show up with positive expectancy, with excitement? Do you interact with people with a sense of aliveness? How can you remain a vital and interesting person when you're just doing a routine and you're not even awake? There is a way. Every morning of your life, when you know that you've got things planned, say to yourself, I'm going to do all these things today that need to be done, but I'm going to do them in a fresh way. I'm going to do them mindfully with a new attitude, with a new belief about these moments of my routine. You can turn everything you do every morning into a spiritual exercise if you want to. Because after all, everything is spiritual. If you're mindful of it, you can turn everything into a spiritual exercise. So whatever must be done, it's going to be done in a new way, in a more mindful way. And it's going to be done easily, normally, with a minimal amount of fatigue. Okay? That's the way you want to do it. Because you're the only person that can do it, and you're the only person you need to change. You can't reform anyone else. Everybody tries to. We still think we can. The wise have always known we can't change anybody. And so we know for each day going forward that we will let other people be what they have decided to be. because they're going to be that way anyway. And we expect each day to be fresh, vital, creative, dynamic. We are doing it in a different way than most people in this teaching. We're radically different than most people with this teaching. We're not about being average. We're about developing a consciousness to have a first-class life. We're releasing the need for havoc, craziness, and despair. We acknowledge that some folks live their lives like Chicken Little, the sky falling. And we are resolved to be about spirit's business. Our spiritual work is important. We're doing important work, and we're aiming high. You know exactly what kind of day you expect to have. Other people might be looking at the clock, their jobs, waiting for the day to end, waiting for Friday, waiting for something better to change their lives, waiting. Not you, not me, not today, not in this teaching. We are living now. We are accepting our good now. I accept my good. I don't reject it. I absolutely release anything in me that is getting in the way of my positive demonstrations. I know today is the greatest day of my life, and I look forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow will be somehow even better than today, and today is real good. Tomorrow will be greater. I live with spiritual vision and understanding. I'm determined to have greater good in my life, and my subconscious mind is charged, absolutely charged, to bring that good forward. Because our subconscious mind is equipped to create anything we decide. For over 2,000 years, ministers have proclaimed, "It is done unto you according to your belief." Your subconscious mind is a free soul. Again, your subconscious mind is a free soul, a free agent. It doesn't know good or evil. It creates both. You're the one that's the knower. You're the one that is the decider. So I'm suggesting as we wind down here to the audience that you can reverse all the stories, all the drama. You can make a decision, a very powerful one, starting here and starting now. You can say to yourself, this is going to be the greatest day of my life. Unexpected good will happen to me all through the day, and I'm alert to it, and I want it. And say, subconscious mind in me, you do it. Put a demand on consciousness. And I release the world's opinion, and I come out from all of that. Yes, come out from listening to the doomsayers and the fear tactics. Let us establish the integrity of our own consciousness within ourselves. And when we do this, we're truly fulfilling our individuality. When you're a member of the crowd, you've lost some of your individuality. But when you have all of that alive, when you're aware of the aliveness of spirit within you and you're awake with new thinking, your thoughts will take on wings. And then you are the total you that you were created to be. And that's what you find what's true and valuable about you. We'll close by saying today, as Barker said years ago, you are wonderful. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're listening. I'm glad you're alive, and I know things will continue to go from good to great. And so ends today's lesson. Thank you.